Hollywood's award season is very much upon us, and to be completely honest, the Golden Globes took place this past Sunday, and I didn't hear anything about that. I didn't even know they were taking place until I seen that Colin Farrell, from what I thought originally, was nominated for his role in The Penguin. I thought, oh, that's good, he's getting the recognition he deserves, but then I looked again, and it's like, oh, he won. Oh, the Golden Globes just happened. I recall, okay, like there was a point in time, when people watched the Oscars, they watched the Golden Globes. I was one of them. I was somebody who was very, very upset with the fact that, Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers only won 2 Academy Awards. I'm still not bitter that Chicago won Best Picture that year, and not my personal favorite Lord of the Rings film. But no. It's like Hollywood awards have always been stupid, and in recent years they've been exposed as being totally and completely irrelevant. And 2024 wasn't anything to write home about in regards to big box office releases. I looked down the lists of the most deserving pictures of the year, and I come up completely empty when it comes to references. Like, take a look. Best Motion Picture Drama. The winner was The Brutalist. Okay, another Adrian Brody, skinny, crying, pathetic guy who just comes through a very troublesome time. Okay, cool, whatever, bro. I heard that it's like 4 hours long and there's an intermission in between. Cool. Lord of the Rings, Return of the King Extended Edition is over 4 hours long, and you don't need an intermission for that because you're on the edge of your seat. You're on the edge of your seat the entire goddamn time. But September 5th? The blue hell is that? Nickel Boys? The Dune Part 2. Well, okay, that's about the only notable thing that's on there, but when it came out in March, like, how long was the conversation around that? Like, a week? Like, what are we doing, man? But the way that the Golden Globes splits things up, like, they got, musical or comedy. Okay, I remember the year that The Martian won Best Musical or Comedy. That was interesting, but challengers, all right, Zendaya gets tag teamed by a couple of tennis players. Cool, I guess. But Amelia Perez won. Like, what? Okay, A Real Pain. The Substance. Okay, I don't really know if that's supposed to be a comedy. From what I hear, it's more genre. Okay, more of a thriller, body horror type stuff. I guess Demi Moore getting a bunch of plastic surgery is Schadenfreude in a sense, so I guess kind of a comedy. But Wicked not winning, well, that's kind of funny because then you're just gonna have a bunch of those unsettled box wine enthusiasts, being real big mad about that. But running down the rest of the list, like, okay, Best Motion Picture Animated Flick. I mean, at least those, there's some references that are there that I at least have heard of before. You got The Wild Robot, Moana 2, really? Like, that just came out. Inside Out 2, that totally makes sense. And Flow, I think I heard about it, but of course, cat film for a bunch of cat ladies that are tuned in to watch this, because I seen the ratings, or at least heard about the ratings for the Golden Globes, and it was hovering somewhere in on around 8 to 10 million. I'm sure we'll get firm numbers, and I'm sure nobody will give a shit moving forward. But yeah, nobody's watching this stuff. Nobody cares about this crap anymore. It's nice to hear one of the films or actors or crews behind the scene that you think should get recognition do in fact get recognition. But there's something that is deliberately missing right there, and especially with some of those later in the year releases getting nominated, like Moana 2, Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul. Like, that premiered on Christmas Day, okay? And I hear a lot of people love it, and I hear a lot of people like it, but Memoir of a Snail, okay, but you know what we're missing? We're missing some Sonic here, ladies and gentlemen, okay? And when it comes to getting its appropriate recognition, because, like I said before, I hear a lot of stuff about this film, and you Sonic fans are fantastic when it comes to promoting your film, which I'm more a fan of the Sega Genesis games. I'll go ahead and, admit my blind spots. 2D purist all the way down. I think Sonic 3 and Sonic 3 and Knuckles was my most rented game on the platform, but I digress. If we go down memory lane any further, I'll be tempted to go back and fire it up here in the near future. But the fact that it didn't get nominated as Best Animated or even Comedy Flick, like, here's the thing about Golden Globes and the Oscars and several other award shows. The reason that they've fallen out of favor is because they've gone too far up their own ass, okay, huffing their own farts too much by trying to be too cool for the room, being the pretentious ones. Oh, we nominated films that you've never heard of before because your palate isn't too refined, your media diet isn't diverse enough. What do you mean fewer and fewer people are checking out our spectacle year on year? Oh, just the plebes could not be asked to tune into such refined entertainment. But no, that was one thing that the Oscars last year did appropriately, even though they didn't give a nod when it came to acting, directing, or best picture for Godzilla Minus One, they at least appropriately and did reward it for having the best visual effects because the film was wildly popular. Barbie was definitely nothing to write home about, but it got a bunch of nominations, mostly because, kind of the underlying message has the right politics, whereas Sonic, and especially the people behind the camera, I would say, I don't know their political affiliations, I don't know who Jeff Fowler votes for, I don't care who he votes for. All I know is that there's a franchise that just crossed $1 billion that listened to the feedback of the fans to begin with, and if they didn't, this wouldn't be the overwhelming success that it obviously is. So that's why, when it comes to recognition, looks like Sonic 3 is going to be on the outside looking in. Sonic 3 fans mourn film's Oscar 2024 or 2025 rather disqualifications from Best Picture race. Could it get nominated? Well, in a year where you've seen all of those high-profile nominees, like didn't you guys cry a lot at a Real Pain? That was something, or I mean, Conclave, like, oh my God, Ray Fiennes, he's a cardinal, I think, or something, like, oh man, like those were just, you couldn't miss those. One of the year's greatest injustices, Sonic 3 has been made ineligible for Best Picture at the Oscars 2025. I mean, you're missing out at Keanu Reeves getting on stage with a gun and not doing John Wick, but instead doing Edgy the Hedgy. 2024 was a stellar year for motion pictures with blockbuster releases like Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes and Dune Part 2. Are you having a laugh? It wasn't a stellar year. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes was the lowest performing reboot Planet of the Apes film, okay? And Dune Part 2, I mean, I kind of made my opinion on that known beforehand. Well directed, competently made and all that stuff. Looked beautiful, especially on the budget that it had. If it's nominated for a bunch of different visual effects, Oscars definitely deserves them. From what I've seen, it looks fantastic. But it's not something we're going to look back at in 5 years with any sort of reverence. Like, it doesn't really have that kind of staying power. But yeah, The Substance and Nosferatu, like The Substance, yeah, that might be one of those second look gems down the line. But Nosferatu, like, people are also dabbing it up right now for being well made, competently shot, a nice homage and return for gothic horror. But outside of that, it's kind of a Robert Eggers film through and through, which is good. It's good for what it is. It's just when it comes to mass appeal, I don't really know. In preparation to celebrate the medium, the Oscars 2025 will air on March 2nd, a week before my birthday. I'll make sure to remind myself. I don't know, man. The proceedings are already underway for the 97th iteration of the annual ceremony. Considerations are being made for which films, actors, and crew deserve a nod. As part of the process, the Academy of Motion Pictures, Arts, and Sciences has released a list of films that, while eligible for other categories, have been excluded from the Best Picture category. Among the staggering 323 films to qualify for the Oscars consideration, a whopping 116 are ineligible for Best Pictures, according to reporting from The Wrap. Among those films that didn't make the cut, one cinematic benchmark stands out. We're talking, of course, of Sonic 3, but I wonder if Mufasa is hit with that same treatment. The news that Sonic 3 has not made the cut for Best Picture has incensed fans of the Blue Blur. Film buffs who appreciate the third installment of the Sonic saga has slammed the decision on social media. Some claim the Academy is scared that and the Sonic pals would sweep the ceremony. Well, no, it would just be fun memes. And also, it's wildly popular. The Oscars, it just needs a little bit of mainstream appeal, which is wild to think about. And yeah, man, it would have been nice. This is because, it would have been unfair to the rest of the movies. We all know Sonic 3 clears. Exactly. While many of the criticisms are playful in nature, there are some fans genuinely upset with films like Disney's Mufasa that made the cut, but Sonic 3 didn't. Yeah, of course not, because there are reasons, reasons why Sonic 3 was not eligible for an Oscar. Standard entry form raise that meets 2 of the 4 standards in order to be eligible to be nominated. Standard A, on-screen representation, themes, and narratives must complete 1. One of the lead actors or significant supporting actors is from an underrated racial or ethnic group. Well, I don't see very many echidnas on screen. Two-tailed foxes, so Sonic gets the check on that one. At least 30% of the actors in minor roles are from at least the 2 underrepresented groups, including women. The majority of people walking the face of the earth. Racial or ethnic groups Okay, well, white makes up a minority, and depending on how you really want to break it down, depending on national affiliation, we could get really, really specific. The gay agenda or the disabled. Well, why are you being redundant with your last two? And if that isn't nebulous enough, because of new eligibility rules that require Best Picture candidates to meet additional benchmarks for diversity and inclusion, yeah, because they could just go ahead and throw things in whenever they want to, because we got the representation and inclusion standards that, yeah, we've seen that before. So the ethnic and racial groups that need to be checked off: African American, Black, African, or a Caribbean descent, East Asian, Hispanic, Indigenous, Middle Eastern, North African, Pacific Islander, South Asian, Southeast Asian. Well, I thought you used to have like international Oscars for that specific reason. A general ensemble cast, 30% of actors, yeah, from different underrepresented groups, main storyline or subject matter. The main storyline's theme or narrative of a film is centered on underrepresented groups. Oh, interesting. So now you're pigeonholing otherwise great stories not getting representation that they deserve. So you're creating another underrepresented group that you can later highlight at a yet to be announced date. Interesting. Standard B, creative leadership and project team. So yeah, behind the scenes, okay, you need to have so many boxes checked, which leads a lot of people to connect the dots as to why budgets for a lot of these Hollywood productions are so bloated, and while the credits roll for like 25 minutes after the final scene plays out, while they're putting in their after credits and their mid credit scenes, it's because you need to break up some of the monotony, and because there is so much additional space that's on there, because you need to highlight all of your intimacy coordinators, your COVID compliance officers, and your other spurious HR and sensitivity managers that you need to hire. Other key roles, at least 6 crew and team and technical positions from an underrepresented racial or ethnic group in the overall crew composition. So yeah, you need to check all of these, and this industry access and opportunities, a paid apprenticeship and internship opportunities. What about this creates like compelling stories? Okay, what about this resonates with audience? What about any of this stuff leads to an overwhelming amount of fan appreciation? All right, none of it. And that's why nobody cares about the Oscars. That's why nobody even knew that the Golden Globes were going on, and that's why people continue to turn out to Sonic 3 and other like-minded movies and pieces of entertainment, because they give the audience what they want by providing stories that resonate with everyone. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.